I'll pull it in.
Yeah, same as us. So I think they'll be fine.
Let me pull the
they'll
mic
be happy.
just a bit. We'll see if that helps.
Okay, it sounds good here.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we're on Facebook.
Slowly getting here now.
Should say at the top. Does it say at the top of your Zoom you're live?
Webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
There we go.
Oh, look. So I'm just shutting our page down. Okay. Say hi to everybody.
Okay, so welcome.
What's the chances of this working?
So far, we're not doing so well, but that's great. I think we got it now.
Scott's had the influence.
It's your influence that's helping us. That's it. So
I think it's just repetitions, but I'll take all the credit.
So we're going to do our show in a few minutes. And when we do go to the show, obviously we're going to be doing the show and only won't be able to react to your...
But send money anyway.
Send money, kudos, all that. After the show's over, I'll make sure I respond to anything that was asked or anything. But during the show, pretty well, the only thing, the chat I can see is from the engineer. So it really isn't that easy for me to talk to.
Right, and if you sign up to Hypnothoughts Live while this show's going on, Scott gives you free popcorn.
Deal.
Yeah. But you have to pay extra.
So, so we'll let you say something now that we...
before we get into the whole official interview and the whole thing starts and we go live to the radio and all that, and while we've got just Facebook Live and us here, I just want to say thank you to you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. This is all about, raising awareness of hypnosis, and I think you're on the forefront of that. And I also think because you're not ancient like me, it's nice to see some young faces on. And you and Jason are both young, but, what it really is changing. I can see that coming up because when I was getting into hypnosis, we were all a bunch of middle-aged people.
You can let him talk. She has new eyelashes for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take it. I feel so much not like the young guy anymore. Like I really, in the last couple of years, I felt like this young up-and-comer that was right on the cutting edge for a while. And I don't feel that way anymore. I go to conferences and there are so many people, like for, 10 years. I was the youngest person at hypnosis conferences for a decade. And there are so many people younger than me now. It's so exciting.
It's exciting. I like it.
It's really cool to see people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, when I'm your age, I want to be able to do this stuff." And I'm like, "Oh no!
Oh God!
No!" So yeah, I don't feel like this young upstart. I've been doing this 20 years now, and I've been going to conferences for 18 years.
Yeah.
My first for 20 years. My first conference was in '98. So
mine was, I think, in 2000 or 99. So you're way ahead of me.
I've been doing this for a while now, and I really, some of the people have heard me say this. The first decade of going to conferences, or actually the first 5 years of going to conferences, were really lonely for me because I was too young to go hang out, at bars and things like that. And I had such a different life experience. Everybody else was in their, 40s or even 50s, and I was 20. And so, I was 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
People didn't want to really hang out with me. They would because they're nice, but it was different.
I sort of want to talk about that when we get to the show too, because just what brought you to don't do it now, but what brought you to hypnosis at that early year? Because most of us did it, as we finally went and did what we wanted to do after we got into the life of working and all that stuff. And most of us, thinking about me, I was in my midlife crisis trying to find something that would be with me. And then I had hypnotized somebody when I was 10, and it was just like magic. It came to me and I said, well, how did I ever get sidetracked anyway?
Yeah, I'm just fortunate that I didn't get sidetracked. But yeah, it's really cool to be doing this. So it's fun to get to talk, because I'm in my office. I see clients in here all day. So it's fun to get to talk about, I know this sounds weird, but get to talk about the conference. I don't really, I have meetings with Richard and Stephanie about it, all week.
Yeah.
I don't really get to talk about it that often, except for in things like this. So I enjoy it.
Good.
And I enjoy, I'm grateful that you're doing stuff like this to spread the word about not just the conference, but more importantly, the industry and the profession, to get it out to all your listeners.
And the variety of hypnosis, because I think there's always, you are not on that edge, and Nick Ebden in the UK is trying to get everyone on the same page instead of, bickering and telling each other that theirs is the only way.
Yeah, I think what Nick's doing is awesome.
Yeah.
I've never met him in person, but I've been a fan of his from a distance for a long time.
Yeah, so, I think we're moving ahead, and I really think that's important. And to get our profession recognized by the regular people to do regular stuff is important. Right. And right now, the usual thing is you tell someone, a hypnotist, the first thing they say is, well, can you help me quit smoking? It's not the only thing in life.
Honestly, that's like one of the better answers you can get, right?
No, that's true. Quack like a chicken thing you get too.
Yeah. No, if I tell someone I'm a hypnotist and their first thought is, "Hey, can you help me with this?" I mean,
it's still.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, that's very funny though. I don't. It's such a narrow view of what we do.
Yeah.
That the expansion of it is unlimited.
But where do they say it? They say it in movies, and movies do hypnosis a great service.
What's in movies is what's entertaining, and hypnosis is not an entertaining. And I have a degree in film. I understand movies really well, and the truth. With the exception of Get Out, right? The truth about hypnosis is pretty darn boring. It's not like you look at all these hypnotists who tried to have TV shows. They don't work usually because watching someone, so many minutes of that you watch before you turn. You switch to see what else is on. So it's in order to make hypnosis be viewable, they have to make it unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, for some reason, my Brazilian friends have a lot of hypnosis shows on, and I have no idea how they can, what it is? They're very boisterous and expansive, and they make it more entertaining somehow. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. For all the work that Tom Silver has done on TV, and Richard Barker more recently, and others to a lesser degree from the two of them, the two of them obviously doing the most. But even with them, it's still, they clip it down into, a 90-second segment because an hour session of hypnosis is just, I like doing it, but I don't even like watching it.
No, it's like watching
and I think kudos to Bob Burns for doing it on the radio. That's really exciting. He was doing an interview one time and they said,
on the radio. I'm not sure if that's the most.
No, he did an interview and the guy said, do your hypnosis thing. And they said, people are calling in. They're all being hypnotized.
I've done radio shows and I've made them, pull me off the air to do the hypnosis. And because it was during drive time.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was thinking.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. They're not ready yet.
So they'll be in here any second now or any minute now.
Or not.
It's right on the money. They just come in and woof.
They finish one show and jump to the next show.
Sure. Let's rock and roll.
Keep chatting.
As we entertain the hordes.
Are you good to do a segment on the best way to get something out of a convention?
Yeah. I really want to talk about that actually.
Yeah. Okay, keep talking.
Great.
Fill the airspace. So what's your favorite movies?
I mean it when I said, I'll talk about whatever you guys want me to talk about. There's not a single question I won't answer. There's not a single thing I won't talk about. I'll just, and cut me off, interrupt me, do whatever you guys want.
One thing about, we don't need to do that because I can just wave at you when it's time to go to break or something. It's not so easy. It's not on the phone. It's always me trying to dodge in at the right time.
Right.
So this is it. Really, actually, I like it. Now, if we can just get it to work smoothly.
If we can get these guys on.
Then it would be great.
If they remember. So what's your favorite color?
It's not purple.
Oh, well,
It makes me rare in the industry.
I definitely I like purple. My granddaughter says, "Grandma, is your favorite color purple?" Here they come, I think. Mm-hmm. Yep, here they go.
Fantastic.
Let's just.
And he'll unmute himself. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Hello.
Oh, okay, we're just coming back again. Okay.
So.
Are you there?
We're here.
No,
I'm here. I can hear you guys. You're good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So you need us to count backwards or anything?
Forward.
No, we should be okay.
And you've got a guest on. Can you see the Scott there?
Is there?
I can see Scott.
I can hear me as well. Yes.
I haven't heard Scott yet.
Yeah.
This is me now.
Oh, I am not hearing him at all.
You don't hear Scott at all?
We hear him good.
I'm hearing him through your computer, Inez. That's all I'm hearing.
Oh,
that's
seeing
not
your mic thing flash. Like his is moving. I'm not hearing any audio.
Well, that's not how we want things to be.
Oh, there we go. I can hear him. It's barely coming through.
Maybe is your gain, Scott? Do you have the gain switch up on your mic?
I mean, I'm using a Yeti. I can get in closer to the mic if that helps. I mean, is that gonna?
That helped a ton. It went from sounding like this to sounding like you're.
Well, let me. Now
Do you
I
have the switch? Do you have the switch on the Yeti to mono or stereo, or whatever it is?
Yeah, I can mess with it. I don't know what happened to it. Where is it?
There should be a setting. If you're talking by yourself, there's one that kind of almost looks like a heart.
Yeah.
Yep. How's that sound?
Oh,
sounds good.
All right. Well, then I'm not going to touch anything.
You can bring your gain.
And Inez, what setting do you have your mic on right now?
On stereo on the two sides, because there's two of us here.
Okay, because you're much louder than she is on that. Do you guys want to try turning the microphone around and seeing?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that this is.
I want to be able to hear Inez really clear. There we go.
Here it is. Yeah, nobody else.
We like that.
All right, we got about a minute and a half. We'll be live.
Okay, great. So a minute and a half and I'll just say, welcome to my show, blah, 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 and then I'll welcome you in. That's about it.
Fantastic.
And there'll be a math quiz. There is a test at the end.
I'll take notes.
Yeah, take notes.
Oh, I'm going to pull up, while you're doing that, I'm pulling up my phone to see if people are saying stuff.
Oh, good idea. Because I can't see it on here.
And there's a decent delay.
Yeah, there is a delay too.
Yeah.
And hi, Stin Niels Moosh. How are you?
Oh,
Steen.
the German sex hypnotist.
Hey.
He's going to this conference. I'm excited.
I know. He's he's my one and only first trainer.
Is that right?
Of SP, yeah. Teaches all through Germany and Switzerland. Yeah. Like a son.
Yeah, I'm excited to. Actually, you know what? I was talking about you yesterday. I'm waiting for a piece of paper from you or something like that. So I'm going to just out you in front of everybody. I think you were in our meeting, Steen.
Oh,
Steen, you're talking to
Steen. You're talking to Steen.
Oh, I'm talking directly to him because I can see he's watching.
Yeah. Get it?
Yeah. Tell him paperwork. Come on.
Directly outing him. I'm terrible at paperwork. That's why I have Stephanie.
That's why Martin's supposed to do that, but he's not all that great at it either. But he's better than me.
Oh, nice.
And I just got a Zoom chat thing that popped up. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We could chat out. That would be good.
All right, less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Uh,
The chat is up here, honey. I think somewhere.
Oh, there's chat.
And did you guys see that? Did
Yep.
you guys see that text message on chat?
Yes, we do.
Just got it, yeah.
Yep, I saw it.
Okay. Oh, you can see the chat, so you can see the 4 minutes to 3 minutes to.
Nope, all I see is the word test.
No.
Oh, no. They will. It'll come up.
Okay.
That's great.
And management.
Have you ever wondered what hypnosis might be and what it can do for you? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Hypnosis Everywhere with your host, Inez Simpson. This is the show that talks to everyone, from the experienced practitioner to the cautiously curious, and yes, even the skeptics. Now, here's Inez Simpson.
Well, welcome to Hypnosis Everywhere, and this is your host, Inez Simpson, and my co-host is also here, Martin Gover. And we are and we are very lucky today to have a really great hypnotist. He's been in the field for quite a long time, and he also is the guy that lets us have HypnoThoughts live, which is a big thing in our industry at this time. So welcome, Scott Sandland, and I'd like you just to say hello.
Well, hello, and thanks for having me.
Okay. I thought maybe, because we did talk about you being rather young, even though now you were young when you got into the industry.
Right.
So maybe sort of just give us a little outline of what you perceived hypnosis to be at the time, and maybe what it is to you now, and how you really got drawn into it.
Sure. So I got into it 20 years ago. I got into it for pain control. I was really interested for that. I was a college athlete, and I'd been in a car accident, and all my friends were in chronic pain because we were all college athletes. And so as soon as, I was very skeptical about it. I'm a very practical person. And so I was attracted to it because it worked for me for pain control. And as I studied it more and got more into it, I started off very early off in sort of like the Jerry Kine, Dave Ellman philosophies. And for people who aren't familiar with that sort of listening, that's pretty paternal, linear, very sort of step 1, step 2, step 3 hypnosis, which is a great way to learn. And because it's so procedural, it really fit for me being an analytical person. And I really liked that. There was a repeatable component to that that really helped me kind of overcome my misconceptions and my doubts, and help people, right? Because I could use those tools with those steps. Now my style, 20 years later, is very different from that. I'm really pretty far away from any rules, and I'm in my office right now. I see clients, most days, and I'll see clients all day today, and I have no form or structure to what I do with them. It's much more open-ended now, just because I have the reps and sort of just there's intuition and insights that come with time. So it's evolved that way, which I think is fun.
Yeah, I think when I started in the same place, and I mean, I still think that is great and all that, but I think we evolve as we go forward. And, it's just like Jerry Kine said, I mean, experiment part of the time or we'll never move forward. So that's what we've done, right? We just keep doing more stuff.
You have to sustain a practice, seeing 20 clients a week, 30 clients a week, anything like that. If you do the same rote procedural thing every time, you burn out. You need to keep it fresh for yourself to stay engaged with the clients. As much as the techniques are great, the most important thing a practitioner does is pays attention. And so the way to pay attention is to be looking for opportunities to see things in a new way. And so that keeps it fresh.
Yeah. So that's when you were 20, so what do you perceive hypnosis to be for you today?
So I was 18 when I was doing that. Now I'm 38 now. Jeez, I'm 38 now. I was the young gun. I was this young up and coming kid for forever, and I'm not that way anymore.
I know how that works.
Yeah, it's time is undefeated, right? But no, for me, hypnosis now is. It's a creative outlet for me, to be honest. It forces me to be present, with the conference and the website and, all the other things with schools and clinics and whatever else, and things going on in my life. Being with a client is in many ways a hobby, because it forces, it's like golf. It forces you to be completely present, completely in the moment, and just focus on the now. Which is wonderful for me. I'm one of those people who thinks, about the future a lot. And so being forced to not do that is in a way a vacation. So, seeing 4 or 5 clients a day does not tire me out at all. I talk to people who 5 clients a day is hard for them. 5 clients a day, the day flies by for me if I see 5 clients, and I feel great.
Yeah. I like seeing clients still. People say, well, gee, you're teaching, you're going everywhere. But I always think no matter how much teaching you do, and if you don't keep learning, and if you don't keep doing clients, how are you going to stay current? Because you're always got to be evolving.
Richard Nongard said something a number of years ago that I've always really liked. Nongard and I like each other a lot. We joke that we're interchangeable. Richard Clark and I are completely not interchangeable. Richard Clark and I are a yin-yang, but Richard Nongard and I are pretty interchangeable. And one of the things that he says that I've stolen is don't train and study hypnosis from someone you can't book an appointment with. If they're not seeing clients, you probably shouldn't train with them. Now, there could be exceptions to that probably, but it's a good thumb.
I think so too. And I think, I've been saying to the audience is that hypnosis is important, and there's many different styles. Connect with a hypnotist, and if you get the rapport and if it feels right to you, do the work with them. It's not about how we do it, what we do. If you have that connection is the biggest thing.
It is. And that's backed by a number of clinical studies that show it doesn't matter what technique you're using. Even hypnosis versus, say, cognitive behavioral therapy or, psychoanalytic approaches, whatever it might be. The most important thing is having that therapeutic relationship and that environment in which the client can have realizations, change, epiphanies, and all that. And the facilitator of that, whatever, modality that might be, is in charge of helping create that space and building that relationship. So yeah, completely.
And then today, I know that you work in all facets. So what is your, I won't say specialties because I don't necessarily have a specialty, but what is it that you like to work with today?
So I'm still doing a lot with drug rehab centers. I've been doing that for about the last dozen years where I go in and I'll run groups there. And, I've got a staff that do that as well. That, I trained them, and now they run groups and one-on-ones at drug rehab centers. And so in that population, you're getting a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain. Sure, there's trauma in there and all that. But what I really enjoy to kind of even chunk up from there is being on a treatment team. So, I work with dental offices, I work with doctors' offices, I work with drug rehab centers. I like being a member of a team because that allows me to have more room to play because I know other needs are being covered. And so it really allows me to be more creative and out there than I would otherwise get to be. So that's really where I am. So a lot of pain, a lot of anxiety, a lot of good to great stuff with high net worth people or professional athletes, that kind of thing.
No, that's great. And I think the team thing is, I'm always talking to the listeners about becoming responsible for their own health and joining the team instead of just, going to see people and getting things done. Become part of the team.
Yeah, one of my most important mentors in my career recently passed away, and one of his catchphrases was "fire your doctor," just as a school of thought, just to be provocative. He said, "Look, they work for you. You are the captain of the team, not the doctor." Yeah. And I think that's really true. Yeah.
Very true. So
I should also mention I do a lot with at-risk teens. I think being a teenager is a tough thing right now with technology, just kind of growing as fast as it is. And with the technology, the kids understand it better than adults, and that's never been the case with the most important technology on the planet before. And so these kids have a lot of pressures that grown-ups have never experienced. And so working with them is a passion for me right now too.
Wow, that will keep you busy for sure.
Yeah. There's no shortage of kids who need sessions right now.
No, I don't know. And there's I notice a big upsurge or maybe it's just because people are starting to become more open to doing hypnosis. But they're starting to understand that it works for pain and that it works for the anxiety. And, so they're starting to show up more and more. And that's a good thing.
And again, me being analytical, I have to pay attention to that, the clinical studies and show me how it works kind of stuff. And the data is just there. Hypnosis really is wonderful for pain, anxiety, those kinds of things. Stop smoking is the famous one that, but I think anxiety and pain are the best applications of hypnosis in terms of improving quality of life.
I think so. There's people that walk in and you'll do a session with them, and because you've attempted to work with different things, it rounds things out for them, and their whole life can change.
Yeah.
To the better.
Right. And people come to you for one issue, and then they find out you can help them for another thing. So, and then all of a sudden you're working with the whole person, not just one facet.
That's what I like to do. I like to work with the whole person, not just, even if they come to me for smoking, I'll say, well, I could do that, but but understand that I like to work with the reasons you smoke.
Yeah, me too. I hate doing one-offs. I just think it's a wasted opportunity. I'm willing to do whatever the client wants. I don't sell packages. But I think once we've lifted the hood of, we might as well look at the whole engine. And get in there and see what we can do to optimize. Great.
Well, we've got 1 minute left. Can you see that on your feed?
I can.
Yeah. Good. So perfect. So now we've got 30 seconds. So maybe just sort of round it out and we'll go to break.
Sure. So I think that if the people are interested in hypnosis, there's a lot. One of the things you said is do your homework, call multiple hypnotists. Don't just go see the first one in the phone book, proverbially. Don't go to the top of Google. Actually call around and ask them stuff.
Yeah, do some research.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we'll go to break and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, you're clear.
Great.
Good. Hey, Scott, do you work with doctors? In what capacity? How does that work?
Depends on the issue. High blood pressure is kind of obvious, pre and post surgical stuff.
Okay. Do you work with the doctor with their patients, or they send patients to you?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Do you think maybe just when you come back, just for a second, talk about that? Because when we were talking on the show earlier, earliest things about Jerry Kine and Dave Ellman working with doctors and dentists. And how that's kind of fell out of fashion, but then it's great if you're back in there doing that. And we've had 2 shows on medical hypnosis, so if you could just maybe talk a little bit about it.
Happy to.
Good.
Yeah, and then go to the conference thing.
Yeah, and then we definitely want to get to the conference thing then, and also to the part about where regular people can go and go to Hypnothoughts.
Yeah, of course. Here, I'll pull the mic up closer. Is that better sound? I'm trying to have it be good.
I can't notice a difference, but maybe it is.
Echoey again. Just a second. Let me see.
Yeah.
I've got it on. Let me move it to you. There. Now how's that sound?
Oh, sounds good here.
I just
the engineer's listening or not.
I just switched it on the Yeti.
Yeah, no, it sounds.
Yeah.
Count to 5. All right. I do that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because I'm an overachiever. Is that good? Sounds good. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, engineer, you can talk. We don't care if you come through or not. Maybe mention when you come back also that this is on Facebook Live. So we're on Zoom, so you can see him. So it is, for you guys, it's video, but for you listeners, of course, it's not video. So if you get some confusing symbols like we're waving our arms and stuff, it's not. That's right.
Oh, I see.
Good. There's a commercial. Hopefully commercial is running right now.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Commercial for something that makes you a lot of money, hopefully.
Yeah, that's right. Tons.
We're working on it.
Right, I understand.
But, this show is, when we did the pilot, it was 13 weeks. And then now we're into, 3rd week of the 2nd season? And we just decided to keep going because I loved it so much.
And we're getting traction. We're getting lots of traction.
So. Yeah, so it's good.
Good.
But it helps when you have great guests come on.
Well, I'll help you get one.
Yeah, see if you can find one for us. Yeah.
Talk to Richard.
Yeah, I'll put in a good word for you.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that, engineer?
He said.
You're listening to Hypnosis Everywhere, the Simpson Protocol. To reach the show today, please call into 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, @InezSimpson.com. Now, Back to this week's program.
Well, welcome back to our second segment on Hypnosis Everywhere. And if you're a little bit confused out there in the internet land, it means we're doing this on Facebook Live at the same time on Zoom. So if you think we're talking about waving our hands at each other or something, you will understand why. So I think we should just get right back to Scott, because there's these 12-minute segments go like in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk about a little bit more about your medical connections and how you work with the medical profession, et cetera.
Sure. So I do it a bunch of different ways, depending on the location. So I've worked on staff in the dental office where they give me the lab coat with my name on it, and I go and I hypnotize people for dental procedures or to have them stop grinding their teeth. And by the way, people who grind their teeth, especially while they're asleep, go see a hypnotist.
Yes.
If you get the mouth guard or the bite blocks or any of those things, or the splints and all those are fine, but that's just protecting your teeth. That's not protecting the joint itself. And there's joint damage that could be done. And you want to change the actual behavior, not just save your teeth. And it will reduce the headaches and neck aches and help you sleep better. Go find a hypnotist for that. They're great. But so I'll do that, and then I'll work in a doctor's office where they'll have me see their patients for high blood pressure or pre or post surgically or things like that. And then I also have some doctors and some dentists who refer their patients to me, and then I see them in my office.
Okay.
So I do it a couple, and then obviously, like I said, in the drug rehab centers, I'll go to them. So depending on the location, I really do it different ways, and my goal is to be supportive of what the doctor or the clinician, their game plan. And then I know my scope of practice, and I can they give me a space that I can freestyle in, and I can do whatever I need to do. And as long as I'm having good communication with, whoever that quarterback might be, the doctor, the dentist, whoever it is, then it gives me room to play, which I think is the best use of our training.
I was talking to a doctor, and she does a lot of birthing and hypnosis. And she was still saying she was really getting, even though she's part of the medical profession, she was still having a lot of pushback. And so it's good for me to hear that we don't have it everywhere.
I don't get almost any pushback. I've given grand rounds at dental schools, and I've taught at, I've been a guest lecturer at UC Irvine School of Medicine, which is a pretty highly respected medical school. I've worked with USC and UCLA's School of Dentistry as well. So those are all reputable places, and in all of those, I've gotten very little pushback ever.
I think it's much better but mind you, we're sort of West Coast people. And I think maybe as we get more conservative going east, that might be a little bit of a difference. I think we're definitely much more open on the West Coast. Well, we have the patient whisperers on the East Coast. that's true. And they're doing very well.
The idea of patient advocates and things like that are I think, really needed. The medical field or the medical industry, I don't think anybody looks at the U.S. medical system and says, well, that's perfect. No one's thrilled with it. I don't think the insurance companies are happy. I'm certain the doctors aren't, satisfied. We're doing what we can, and it's a complicated thing. It's really, not to get political, but it's a complex issue. So the more we can do to do little things to make it better, even, I've got a client who's coming in because he was just intubated for a surgery, and no one told him he was going to be intubated. And so then he woke up and he had, a tube down his throat. And so now he's developed a gag reflex and phobia. And so, that's not capital T trauma, but it's lowercase t trauma. And it's lowercase t trauma that's upsetting and creating some sort of echo in his life. And, the medical field could have, announcer prevention with some phrasing, could have helped him with that or, educated him on it. But because they didn't, we can run cleanup for him.
Yeah, we do. And I think that's what we do, even though because they don't have a lot of time and everybody just runs around doing things, but they can't do it at the best way they can.
Right.
And that's the system. And I understand that too. Even here in Canada, it's slightly different, but it's really not, it's still, you still have all the same issues.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately it's, the number of patients they want to get to in a day requires them to be as efficient and direct as possible. And sometimes that means communication is sacrificed. And with us, we can spend the time being effective communicators. And that's one thing about the patient whisperers. They're working on a trauma ward, and they're working in that small time, right? In that very quick, those nurses. And they are helping, the doctors are starting to see that it's great because it helps them speed up their work. So now that's becoming a benefit. And now they're going to start teaching that and all that to other nurses and things. So, we are moving ahead, and I'm very happy about all that stuff. So I'm glad that you're doing that, and maybe open the field for some of us. Or it's just not necessarily opening the field. It's opening our limitations. Yeah. I think the belief that a lot of hypnotists have coming out of their training is that doctors don't respect us or think of us as, sort of, charlatans of some sort. And I'm sure that's true in cases, but by and large, the modality and the results speak for themselves. And so if we conduct ourselves professionally, and when we conduct ourselves professionally, it's usually met with respect.
I agree. So let's talk about HypnoThoughts Live.
Yeah, let's.
That's your job.
Oh, okay. So HypnoThoughts Live is a conference. It's the largest hypnosis conference in the world. We have 170 presenters and I mean, that's a lot. 170 presenters. We have way more than that in terms of number of presentations. And the idea of the conference is to just be as inclusive, as welcoming, and as varied as possible. So we try to bring in as much variety as we possibly can and expose the people attending to new ideas, no matter how long they've been in the industry. And so this is our 6th year. And, our first year we had 60 presenters. This year, like I said, we have 170. We're growing every year. We're growing again this year. We're actually growing more than I expected to. I was just looking at the numbers this morning, which I try to not do because I'd go crazy. But I looked at them this morning, and we're growing, and we've got more signups than we did last year. So it's just a really fun event. It's in Las Vegas, and our goal has been to make it really affordable, right? So it's very cheap for what you get. We feed everybody lunch every day just to create community, to keep everyone together. And the food's actually good. It is. Everyone good food every day. At these big tables that everybody can kind of sit at and meet new people and hang out and talk. We have social nightlife stuff to get people out of their shells. And it's the first place people should go if they're interested in learning more about hypnosis.
Yeah, and even if they're not a hypnotist as yet and they're just interested and intrigued, it's a good place to go. Like you said, the food is good. And I like that because that you take that break in the middle of the day, which means that everybody takes that break and then has the choice to keep going to anything and everything after.
Yeah, I mean, the logistics of putting 1,000 people in one space and then saying, hey, go have lunch by yourself, come back in an hour. I mean, you flood all the restaurants. Everyone's standing there, with a 40-minute wait just to be seated. No one's at the 1 o'clock classes because everyone's still waiting for their checks. It's a disaster. So,
or you're a presenter at that noontime when everybody skedaddles because they just keep everything running. And it's not.
You're sitting there and you flew across the country to give a talk, and there's 9 people in your room, and 3 of them are distracted and hungry. That's not ideal.
Yeah, I think you do a great job.
Thank you.
So how did it start, though?
Well, that's kind of a long story. But the
2 minutes.
It is we created hypnothoughts.com. Hypnothoughts.com is the largest free resource in the profession. There's over 1 million pages on hypnosis there, and it's completely free. And it's not indexed by Google. It's a forum in a community where people can come and ask questions and answers. If they have questions about their specific issue and if a hypnotist would help them, they can do that there. If they want to learn about hypnosis and have questions about where they should study, they can do that there. And anything they write there won't show up in a search engine result. And so it's safe. And so we've had that for over 10 years now. So that's been going for over a dozen years, and so we built that, and this is the logical extension. How it came to be it involves things that some people might be upset if I say. I'm happy to tell it. We started with online conferences. We did a couple of those, and those were fun. But we decided we really wanted people to bond and create networks and get that next level. And so as we decided to do that, we started by just going to all the other conferences and making friends with them. I've gone to over 50 hypnosis conferences. I've been going to them forever. I've never even tried to sell a product at any of them. I just go to learn and create community. So then when we said, let's see what we can do with HypnoThoughts at these conferences, we ran into some people that were not supportive of that idea. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, we were sort of left with a decision on should we cancel this idea or double down on it and just make our own. And so we did that. And
I think it was the right decision.
It turns out it was, and like I said, 5 years in now we're the biggest. So that tells us that we're doing what people want.
Well, and I think it's also because you're totally open to whatever there is in hypnosis is there. And you're not saying, no, we're not, we can't see that part or we can't see this part. It's totally open to the people attending.
At the event.
Yeah, of course. And it's, all about who's attending and what they want to see and what they want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we're back to 30 seconds again.
It goes fast.
I know. I guess we're off to break and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, you're clear.
And you move your little butt over here. So you're supposed to be in the picture. See, Facebook Live says, look, she's bossing him around again. Yes. Get in there.
No.
My unwilling co-host here today, and I likes the radio better. It doesn't have to be seen.
Look, I'm in the yellow room for some reason. I'm not afraid of this. You guys have decent lighting. I'm filming this apparently on a Super 8,
If Spielberg can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, this is like an old Super 8 home movie of me on Facebook Live.
Guess what? Now we are living in the apartment I live in is now in Vancouver Island movie studios. Film studios, yes.
Vancouver and Toronto have done a great job pulling Hollywood north.
So right now there's filming going on this week here. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's good. It is good.
I've done on-set hypnosis, actually. I've done it for a couple independent films and some music videos.
Cool.
You mean for the actors or when the cameras are rolling?
What? Off camera, just to help people get character, help them work with green screen stuff. Help them get over an emotional breakup before they have to be on screen. Those kinds of things.
And there's, also the part that really gets me is with actors that really method actors. The people that get really in it, that they really need hypnosis to get them back to their own, so they don't carry trauma with them that isn't theirs.
If you watch there's a documentary on Jim Carrey being Andy Kaufman. And he talks about how much it actually disturbed his concept of identity. Yeah. Because he was so in character for so long. That
I think I'm going to offer my services.
Yeah?
Well, we were out there yesterday and that guy comes along. You're the hypnotist, right? You should be telling all these people they all need you. Especially when the actors are coming in.
Yeah. So, that's a whole other field opening up. That would be fun to play with for a while.
It would be. I almost got into it. And then, to be honest, I hated the people in Hollywood that I had met. Some of them were wonderful. That's not fair to say. Some of them were wonderful. Yeah. They were just like I'm so lame. I don't want to be around cocaine or Like, I just genuinely don't.
All right, guys, we're back.
We're back.
And we're back with hopefully that as my drop in.
5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, at InezSimpson.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Well, welcome back. And we're with Scott Sandland and of HypnoThoughts Live. And I really want to ask Scott about what's the best way to go to a conference? What if from his point of view?
Sure. Like I said, I've been to like 50. I've been to more than 50 now. But so I talk to people, they're like, oh, should I come to HypnoThoughts Live or should I go to a different conference? Or I'm thinking about coming, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. And I totally get that because it is an investment of a lot of time and money and resources. So the way to get the most out of a conference is really not to just go to the conference. That's a lot of people just show up and just hope it goes well. And they really wasted an opportunity. I think if you're going to go to a conference, you need to figure out why you're going to this specific conference. Don't go to a conference just because you've been to it before. Go to a conference because you're looking to get specific things. So look at the actual presenters and look at the actual topics. Really spend time looking at what's being taught and actually come up with a plan on what you'd be interested in seeing. And, circle them or whatever, print it out and circle things or make a list and see if that's worth the money. You really just have to say, is this worth it? If it is, the next thing you need to do is make a list of who you want to connect with at that conference. Don't just go to a conference, sit in some classrooms, and go back to your hotel room. You actually have to use that time to build relationships in that industry. And I don't care if you're talking about hypnosis, hypnotherapy, whatever. If you're talking about, the podiatry conference, if you're into feet, whatever you're going to, you want to make sure that you're making a list of the people you want to connect with. Now, that might be A-listers, but that also might be people who you just see who are a little bit ahead of you, who you can get advice from. And if you've done that, then the following year, or maybe even that year as well, then you start looking at actually building those relationships towards mentorships. Then you can start looking at, after a couple of years in the industry or whatever it might be, then you can start looking at partnerships. You look at just kind of getting the landscape of what's out there. Then you get into getting the lay of the land on who's in these spaces and what they're individually like. Then you start looking at mentorship, and then you start looking at partnerships. And if you figure out where and everyone wants to be at the next stage, right? Like everyone, whatever stage you're at, you want to be in the next one, but really own the one you're in and maximize that one, like fill that one before you reach. And you don't have to just pick one. You can do two, obviously. But finding how to get those things out of a conference instead of just sitting in a classroom and taking notes. I mean, that's important too. And you obviously want to be, educating yourself, but it's who you know, and having those conversations at the bar or dinner or in the hallway or whatever it is, that's where a lot of really challenging of ideas goes on. And that's where, ideas are sort of ratified and opportunities to learn really show up, which is one of the reasons why we pay for lunch, right? Going back to that, we want to create opportunities for people to have that networking. We have these night things. We have, we have bars that people know to go to just to meet up and stay up late. I mean, we have a pajama party, just to make it really fun. The idea is to not be important. I hate self-important BS. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
Yes, you are. Especially about that.
Self-important BS. And so because of that, we do everything we can to remove that. There's no flair and badges and fancy stuff. It's just a tag and, taking yourself down a peg. And we don't have awards. And we love the idea of if you're a regular, if you're important, if you're a presenter, go sit with people you've never met and go make their day, go make them feel welcome, instead of making sure you're only sitting with your friends or your students or your quote unquote disciples.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said so far. I know that if I hadn't gone to conventions over my career, I wouldn't be where I am today. No, just because of the learning and the networking and the everything about it.
It really is. I mean, it makes a difference. You look at the people who go to conferences, and there are exceptions. There are some people who just stay in their office and they're really successful and they're helping a lot of people. There are those people. But there are a lot of people wondering how to become more successful. And this is one of the best bang for the buck ways to do it, because you get exposed to more stuff for less money.
And it's hugely fun.
Yeah, and it's fun. It is. So all our classes are included in the price. I should mention that. So when you pay for the conference, you get the entire conference. I hate getting nickel and dimed. And I hate the idea of, well, you bought a room and you're here, you might as well pay $30 more for this class. Like, come on, man. I just took time off my day job. I'm new. I'm a year into this profession, and you're going to jack me up over $30 after I paid you, hundreds of dollars and got a plane ticket? We don't want to do that. So you show up and you don't have to make financial decisions about what you're going to learn. You just get to learn. Another thing. Sorry, all of a sudden this just hit me. I got excited by myself. If you already know there's presenters you love, try to avoid them, right? Like, just using this as an example, like Mike Mandel, he's great, right? So like Mike brings a bunch of people to our conference, and we're grateful. And if you've taken 2 classes with Mike Mandel, and he's going at the same time as, we have 12 talks going all the time. And if he's going at the same time as someone you've never heard of, maybe go hear that person, right? If there's someone you've heard, oh, that's kind of neat, or I had lunch with them, they were interesting. Well, we already know what we're getting with Mike. Go check out something new. Now, I'm not saying avoid him like the plague. If it's your favorite option on the agenda, go get it. But, if you have to choose, if you have to make hard choices, pick the new thing. And that's why we make everything included in the price, so that you can take that risk.
Well, and it's important, because if you go to see different people all the time, you're going to take little bits out of everybody and become yourself.
Right. Yeah. Don't end up being the next somebody. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be the next anybody. You want to be the first you. And so you do that by synthesizing a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
it's true. And what I really like now about this conference in Vegas, because it's a fun place for people to go. Yep. And if you're not a hypnotist as yet, you can go there and have other fun. And you have a hypnosis, and you can understand where we're all coming from. And you never know, you might even want to get in the biz.
Yeah, I mean, you can explore stuff. You can take in some shows. We can get discounted tickets to some of the stage hypnotists in town if you want to go see that. We have like a mentalism show or a stage hypnosis show ourselves every year, or a stand-up comedy. We have all sorts of things just to have nightlife. Bowling tournaments, and there's obviously all the Vegas stuff. We make it as affordable and easy and approachable for people who are curious to just come check it out and see for themselves.
That's good. Anything that you come
no help.
There is no help from him today.
No. Working without him.
Anyway,
htlive.net or hypnothoughtslive.com is the website. Either one. They're both in the same place.
And Martin will do that for us. Put it all up on the show
we'll put that on the show page, so you can.
And anything else you want on the show page, we'll put it up.
Yeah.
Because everybody that's listening to this, we want them to have access to anything and everything. Yeah. So it'll be there easily for them, and they can get it. So we won't have to be too concerned.
So, just to break in, Scott, I didn't realize, I wondered what hypnothoughts.com was. So literally it's a forum where if somebody has a concern or a query about hypnosis, they can just go in there and talk.
Yeah, it's a community. And, it's the idea is there's a section for advertising, and then there's no advertising allowed in the discussion forum. And so you're not getting sales pitches. You're getting real answers. And there's just conversations. And like I said, it's the largest resource in the profession. It's millions of pages of questions and answers. And it's overwhelmingly friendly and welcoming of new people. And you'll get, disagreeing responses, which is great.
So it's Hypnotic Women for us guys. Is that what it is?
It predates Hypnotic. Actually, the creator of Hypnotic Women, Kelly Woods, is one of our moderators.
Oh, I know. That's great. And she's also been on the show.
Oh, she's wonderful. I love Kelly.
I know. She's good. Pajama party and all.
Great of her. Yeah, Kelly's great. We've been around for a long time, a dozen years or so, and we've got about 25,000 members, maybe more, probably more like 26, 27. Again, I try to stay away from those numbers because I'll drive myself crazy, like getting competitive with myself. I used to like pay attention to the Google Analytics of how many,
I know.
1,500 visitors today and 1,400 unique visitors yesterday. That means we're 100 people more important today than yesterday. I don't want to do that. But yeah, about 25,000, 26,000 members, and it's just.
I think once you get to a certain number, it doesn't make much difference how many more.
Right. I mean, I track and I would make an announcement every time there was another 1,000. I'd announce these 1,000-person benchmarks. But I mean, the goal of the site was to get to 500. Our dream goal was to hit 500 members, and being 25,000 is pretty cool.
Okay, so I want you to just wrap up everything. You can talk here for about anything we haven't talked about, or if you want to talk about something that you really are keen about that we haven't done already.
I'm not going to tell you to spay and neuter your pets. That's cliche. Our profession is about helping people, and we're really fortunate. I really feel lucky to get to do my job every day, and I hate that there are people who want to do this job that are sold a bill of goods, and they get bad training, and they get incomplete training, and they get encouraged to go out and hang up a shingle too soon before they're really ready, and then they fail. And then the clients who really need the help are talking to a well-intentioned good person, and both of them don't get the results they want. And I think that the more as a profession we can do to resolve that. I mean, sure, some people just suck at their jobs, and we can't control for that. But we can factor in that we can all do better as a industry of collectively raising the bar and holding each other and ourselves to higher standards, and to do that through a sense of community and social norming that pushes each other and drives each other through respect for each other, for the opportunity to help others, and for the people who need help. Doing right by all of those things is a thing that we should take seriously, and at the same time not take ourselves seriously. And we should be able to be critical of each other in a way that's respectful. And I think we need to be, actually.
I tend to agree with all of that. The only thing that I'd be concerned with is then that the pendulum would swing to the other end.
Regulation won't work. I don't. It just doesn't. It's not going to work. I think the state of Washington, where Kelly is, actually has the best legislation in America on how it should work, which is registration but not licensure. I think that's what hypnotherapy should be. But that's me. But
I really think that from a person out in the audience who's starting to think to go on would like hypnosis, just to check it out, like we say, research, and don't settle for something that's 2 days.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to break again, and I'll see you on the other side.
You're clear?
Thank you. So if you're quite happy to keep going, we can give you another 5 or 6 minutes, or
it's whatever you guys want to do. It's your show. I'm
good. If you want something, what else?
Did you have any thoughts on regulation for hypnosis that you wanted to air or not?
I can.
I mean, coherent, useful ones.
He's very articulate, so might as well. That's good.
Like the future of hypnosis.
I can talk good.
Yeah, you can talk pretty good.
Yeah.
For a guy from California.
I don't say like too often.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I can talk about regulation. I have a lot of thoughts of it. I've actually talked to the head of 2 hypnosis unions about it over the years, and I've talked to legislators and regulators about it as well.
Okay, let's do that, and then at the end, I'll just take over after about 5 minutes or so.
Just to wind it up.
How long
just
is?
To say.
You can just tell us out loud how many minutes is the next session.
Section. That's supposed to be, how long have we got, Mr. Engineer?
And then last section.
If he's listening.
It'll be the normal time.
Oh, we got
9
minutes?
Yeah.
9.
Okay, I thought we were over this. Great.
Oh, okay, great. So you can have good 6 minutes anyway. I just need sort of 3 minutes to go right at the end.
Oh, I won't need that much, but okay.
Okay, well,
you better stretch it out.
No, just finish it. Just finish when you finish then, and I'll take the rest.
All right. I'll say stupid crap for like the first minute and a half just to.
And it'll be
Coming back.
Okay, we're coming back.
Active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
You're listening to Hypnosis Everywhere, the Simpson Protocol. To reach the show today, please call into 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to Inez, that's INES, at InezSimpson.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Well, welcome back to our last segment, and I'm just going to get Scott to talk a little more about what he would conceive as being good legislation or regulation.
For people who don't know, the profession of hypnosis is overwhelmingly unregulated, which has pros and cons to it. And, I think the lack of regulation has held us back to a degree because it stops us from being so compliant with insurance standards. If you look at what massage therapy and acupuncture did, hypnosis was sort of even with them, and they went left and we went right. And reasonable people can disagree on this, right? And they do about what should happen. In America, it's a state by state issue. So any state can pass any laws they want about hypnosis, and most of them have about the same laws. There's some exceptions. Colorado has, as a blanket statement, the dumbest hypnosis laws there are. They just don't make any sense. And I've talked to people who helped make those laws. I really have. And I've talked to people who are on the board, and that it's good people with an idiotic decision. Washington has wonderful laws, and I think California's laws, where I am, are pretty simple. Basically, I have a form that I have all my clients fill out that says we don't diagnose, we don't treat, we're not a replacement for medical. If I disagree with your doctor, listen to your doctor. I can't lock you into 20 sessions and make you pay in advance. Just sort of a patient kind of thing. But the state of Washington actually has a registration, and basically they put like a first aid and like HIV bloodborne pathogens training standard that the person has to take those classes and pass a test, and then they are registered with the state. And that means that the state has the ability to step in and remove your registration if you act unethically, to have the power of law to stop a bad actor. Anytime you talk to people about hypnosis, there's this whole idea on, well, if you stop hypnosis, I'll just call what I'm doing this, or how can you regulate what is and isn't hypnosis? And there's reasonable ways to do that, actually. There are understandable ways that you can put standards in place to protect the patients, and that's what it really comes down to, is protect the general public, the clients, to make sure that they're getting quality of care that they deserve. And there are things that can be done to do that. And just the idea of changing the name of hypnosis, or how can you regulate, those are lazy arguments that are bad. And I've had all these discussions. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny and Socratic discourse. But the idea that hypnosis should be regulated to some degree, the reason it's not right now in most states is it doesn't need to be. Because the number of complaints are so overwhelmingly low, that it doesn't make sense to for a state to make it a budget item, and it would just cost the state money for something that isn't in the public need right now. And there's cases like in Florida 3 years ago. There was a vice principal who hypnotized a student, and then that student committed suicide. Now, those two things happened very far apart. But people thought, oh my gosh, they hit me, and there was this media backlash. Yeah. But as soon as reasonable heads prevailed, they saw, okay, these things aren't connected. There was a moment there where they said, we need to regulate hypnosis. And then the state looked at things, critically, and the state said, no, we don't. There's an emotional public backlash or outcry for a moment, but when we reasonably look at this, we don't need that. So I think what Washington's doing is the right answer.
Great. And you know what, I think luckily, for the most part, we're all pretty ethical beings in hypnosis. We're the type of people that want to help people, and for the most part, but there's always in every kind of place that you live or work that you're going to have people that aren't.
Yeah.
But I think our numbers are small for sure.
Yeah.
In that field part.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what? That's why I'm always professing to people out there, do your due diligence. And then you'll be happy with when you get hypnosis.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, it's been very nice having you on the program, and I'll be seeing you in the near future. Well, I'm not going to be at Hypnothoughts this year, but I will be seeing you soon, I would think, on Hypnothoughts or somewhere along the line. Online, probably, because I'm heading off to Europe tomorrow, actually.
That's what I heard.
So anyway, so that's great, and I'll see you, and I'll just keep going, and I'm really glad you were here.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. So we're just going to mute you, poor guy. And you can choose to stay or go. It's all up to you, because the last few minutes, you might as well otherwise you can just be beautiful and sit there. This is usually the segment where we give the listening population more things or tools to use and understand about using your mind, right?
Yeah, so we only got a couple of minutes to wrap up, but we did put in to the free self-hypnosis site that Nez has, which you can join, because what we're talking about is why not use the whole of your mind, the whole part of you to work on you, as opposed to just the front end, that conscious stuff that we're using at the time. There is a proactive health tape or MP3 we just put up on that site that you can use, and it's not a healing thing, it's just like a tune-up thing. It just keeps the body functioning at optimum.
It's just telling your unconscious, subconscious, whatever words you want to use for this, whatever mind model you use for that other 90% of you that you want to be healthy. Pretty much.
And please work
on it. Please do it.
Please and thank you. And we have a great show coming up next week. It's Stephen Blake.
Stephen Blake, Old Pain to Go. And this guy has really put himself on the map in about a year or two. For teaching, and it's really, and it's very good, and he's a very great guy, because what I find with him was that he's so authentic and he's very soft-spoken. He's a gentle guy.
English.
Yeah, that too. Anyway, so I think you'll enjoy next week's show with Stephen Blake and Old Pain to Go, and it's a technique that's anyone can do. I mean, I think Stephen is not just teaching hypnotists, he's teaching anyone who's some type of therapist or anything who does anything. So I'll just want to say we're really looking forward to seeing you next week, and we'll say goodbye. Say goodbye, Martin.
Goodbye. Oh.
You're clear.
Thanks.
Great. Sorry, we got muted somehow again. Thanks.
Okay, great. That was awesome. Thank you very much. So we'll let you go and
say goodbye to.
And don't say good. We're going to say goodbye to the Facebook people first. So after he cuts us off.
You okay to go,
Mr. Engineer? Are you leaving us now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to. I really want to thank Scott for being here. It was great. And I just want to say to your Facebook Live people, I should need to go to that. Can we put up the Facebook Live page right now? I just want to see if there's any questions or anything. Or maybe I'll just do it on the phone. Maybe I can get it on there.
Take a while to get there.
Okay, so if this is going to take, looks like it's going to take a few minutes. So maybe what I will say is I will go to it and check any after the fact, and I will go in and answer anything that's there. There we go. And actually, it's right there now.
And next week is Stephen Blake, and we'll put the video up.
And we'll put up a video for Stephen Blake next time, and it'll be full, even though we have pre-recorded it because we'll be on the plane next time. So that's great. And we will get back to you soon. So goodbye for now.